Your life hasn't changed because you haven't disappeared. You stayed visible, you stayed noisy, you stayed distracted, you stayed around weak habits and weaker people, and you keep pretending growth happens in public when deep down you already know the truth. You already feel it every night when the noise dies and the regret gets loud. You didn't fail because you weren't capable. You failed because you never removed yourself from what was draining you. And this is uncomfortable to hear because it puts responsibility back where it belongs. On you. If you're still watching after this, it's because you know you can't stay the same. And before this video ends, you'll understand exactly why disappearing is the only move left. You've been too available, too explainable, too reachable, too open with people who don't build, don't sharpen, don't push. And you call it being social, being normal, being connected. But the truth is, it kept you average, it kept your edge dull, it kept your standards low. Because every time you tried to rise, you were pulled back by comfort, by chatter, by validation, by pointless conversations, by scrolling, by knowing everything about everyone except yourself. You felt it when you saw someone pass you, not because they were better, but because they were locked in while you were distracted. You felt it when days blurred together and nothing moved forward, not dramatically broken, just slowly decaying. And that slow decay is what hurts the most because there's no excuse loud enough to hide behind. Being visible all the time weakened you. Talking too much leaked your energy. Announcing plans replaced execution. Seeking approval replaced progress. And you mistook attention for momentum. You mistook being seen for being dangerous. The world rewarded your talk with nothing because the world only respects results. And results are built in silence where nobody claps. Nobody cares, nobody notices. That frustration you feel, that sense of being overlooked, that quiet anger when you know you could be more, that's not a sign you're unlucky, that's a signal you stayed where you shouldn't have. And then something shifts. Not motivation, not hype, but resolve, cold and clear. The understanding that disappearing is not running. It's preparation. It's choosing depth over noise, work over words, silence over explanation. And this decision doesn't announce itself. It cuts. You stop responding instantly. You stop explaining goals. You stop being everywhere. You remove the drains, the habits, the people, the patterns that feed comfort instead of growth. And it feels lonely at first, uncomfortable, because it kills the version of you that needed to be seen to feel real. Isolation becomes the forge, not social isolation born from weakness, but chosen solitude born from intent, where focus sharpens because there's nothing left to distract you. Discipline forms because no one is coming to save you, and self-control strengthens because impulses finally meet resistance. Nothing legendary is built in public. Nothing elite is formed while being entertained. Every dominant force in history sharpened itself away from applause. And this is where the old self starts to die. The one who needed attention, gone. The one who needed entertainment to stay consistent, gone. The one who waited for motivation, for confidence, for the perfect time, gone. No speeches, no drama, just removal, just silence, just work. Discipline replaces emotion, not because you feel strong, but because strength is built when feelings are ignored, training when tired, working without confidence, learning while unnoticed, improving skills, body, mind, habits with no audience watching. 6 months like this doesn't just change results, it rewires identity. Because consistency under silence does something comfort never could. It hardens you. You move less but mean more, speak less but execute more, your circle shrinks and your standards rise, and people start feeling something different when you walk in, not because you're louder, but because you're controlled. Power becomes invisible before it becomes undeniable, and this is only the beginning, because disappearing isn't the end of the story, it's the preparation for the return. Disappearing was never about hiding from the world. It was about stepping away from the noise long enough to finally hear the truth inside you. Because once the decision was made, once the door closed behind you, something shifted, something sharpened, and the silence that used to scare you became the most disciplined teacher you've ever faced. Days started blending into each other, not because nothing was happening, but because everything was happening beneath the surface, while others kept talking, scrolling, reacting. You were waking up before motivation, training before confidence, working before approval. And in that quiet repetition, the old identity started starving. The version of you that needed entertainment to feel alive, that needed people to feel validated, that needed excitement to stay consistent, it began to suffocate. And you didn't save it. You didn't comfort it. You let it die because growth doesn't negotiate. Isolation stripped excuses naked. There was no audience to perform for, no one to impress, no one to blame, just discipline staring back at you every single day, asking the same question: did you show up? Or did you lie to yourself again? And day by day, the answer changed. Habits replaced emotion, structure replaced chaos, routine replaced hope. You stopped waiting to feel ready and started moving, because the clock didn't care about your feelings. While the world stayed busy arguing and comparing, you were building something invisible. Your mind stopped reacting. Your body stopped hesitating. Your focus narrowed. Conversations became optional. Opinions became irrelevant, and the silence became heavy with intent. Because isolation doesn't make you weak. It reveals who you really are when no one is clapping. And that's where the training intensified. Every lonely morning became a test. Every quiet night became a reminder. No one is coming to save you. No one is watching. This is between you and the future you claim to want, and instead of breaking you, that pressure forged something harder. You learned to sit with discomfort without distraction, to work without excitement, to improve without recognition, to suffer without announcing it. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, your standards rose, not because someone told you to raise them, but because weakness became intolerable. Excuses started sounding embarrassing. Wasted time felt painful, and softness felt foreign. You stopped explaining your absence, because powerful people don't broadcast preparation. They emerge changed. The old self that needed noise couldn't survive in this environment. It craved attention, it begged for relief, it looked for shortcuts, but discipline didn't listen. Discipline kept showing up, kept sharpening, kept subtracting until only necessity remained. The friends who thrived on your accessibility faded. The habits that survived on excuses collapsed. The routines that demanded consistency took over. And for the first time, your life started aligning not with comfort, but with control. Days were no longer driven by emotion. They were engineered. Sleep, training, work, learning, repetition, all executed quietly, efficiently, without commentary, and the MO. Reconsistent you became, the less you felt the need to explain anything to anyone, because results were already forming beneath the surface. Your presence started changing before your appearance ever did. Calmer eyes, slower reactions, sharper focus, fewer words, more intent. People felt it, even if they couldn't name it. Because silence done right is intimidating, and isolation done right is power multiplying. Months passed, not in excitement, but in progress, not in chaos, but in alignment. And one day you noticed something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. You no longer needed motivation. You no longer needed validation. You no longer needed company to stay consistent. Discipline had become automatic. Boredom became fuel. Pressure became familiar. Difficulty became expected. And that's when the return began, not as an announcement, not as a reveal, but as a shift in gravity. You didn't come back louder. You came back heavier. Conversations felt smaller. Excuses sounded childish, standards felt immovable, and people sensed the difference immediately, not because you told them what you did in silence, but because you carried it, the way you moved, the way you spoke, the way you didn't react. That's when they realized something changed. But they couldn't trace when, because transformation doesn't happen in public timelines. It happens in isolation, in repetition, in sacrifice no one applauds. And standing there, grounded, controlled, focused, you understood the final truth. Disappearing wasn't a phase, it was the price. And returning wasn't an option, it was inevitable. Because once you train yourself to live without noise, you can never go back to being ruled by it. Once you build discipline in silence, comfort loses its grip. And once you stop needing approval, power follows, quietly, relentlessly, permanently. So let this be the line you live by. While Stay visible and stagnant. You disappear, you prepare, and when you return, you do not explain, you do not ask, you do not announce. You arrive changed, controlled, disciplined, and irreversible. The silence you chose starts changing you in ways no one can see yet. And that's the point, because real power doesn't announce itself. It accumulates, it hardens, it sharpens when nobody is watching. And every day you stay invisible, your standards rise while theirs stay the same. Your patience deepens while their impulses get louder. Your mind learns restraint while theirs demands distraction. And slowly, you stop feeling the urge to explain yourself because results don't speak. Presence does. And when you finally step back into the world, it won't be with noise or arrogance. It will be with weight, with calm, with an unshakable control that makes people uncomfortable because they can sense the difference. They can feel that something has changed, and they won't know when it happened or how, only that you are no longer available for excuses, weakness, or wasted time, and that the version of you who disappeared did not return the same. Because disappearing was not escape, it was evolution. And from this point forward, silence is not loneliness, it is preparation. And discipline is no longer effort, it is who you are now.